I knew something was wrong the second I touched the bedroom door handle. It wasn't the silence. Our house had been too quiet for months. It wasn't even the faint hint of a perfume drifting through the air, the one she only wore when she wanted to feel extra pretty, as she used to say. No, it was something colder, heavier, like the room itself was holding its breath. And then I heard it. A gasp. Quick. Sharp. The kind that doesn't belong to someone alone. My heart slammed so hard against my ribs I felt it in my teeth. I froze, gripping the doorknob, my palms sweating instantly. For a second I thought maybe, I imagined it. Stress, exhaustion, the 1,000 little cracks in our marriage finally making noise in my head. But then a second gasp came. Softer, but unmistakably two things. It wasn't Hayes, and it wasn't alone. I opened the door. Not kicked, not slammed, just opened. Slowly, quietly, like my body wanted to delay the moment my mind already knew was coming. And the world split in half. My wife, my Annie, was standing beside the bed, her hair messy, her cheeks flushed, her hand shaking. And behind her, half hidden but not nearly enough, was a man scrambling to put his shirt on. His belt lay on the floor like a dropped confession. His shoes were still pointing toward the bed, careless and guilty. Both of them jerked toward me like deer caught under white-hot headlights. She spoke first. "It's not what it looks like." Her voice cracked, shrill, panicked. I looked at her, really looked. The rumpled sheets, her unbuttoned blouse, the man's bare feet, the scent in the room that didn't belong to our marriage anymore. I almost laughed. But something colder came out instead, words I didn't know I was capable of saying. "Good, because you're both leaving." Her face drained of color so fast she looked like she'd stepped out of her body. The man cursed under his breath, fumbling with his zipper like he expected me to lunge at him. But I didn't move. Not outwardly. Inside, though, something was breaking in slow, horrifying motion. Annie stepped forward, her hands trembling like leaves in a storm. "No, wait! Please, just listen. Listen to me, okay? It's not." A strange calmness settled over me, thick and numb. I picked up the suitcase I had brought from the hallway. My suitcase, ironically. The one she bought me last year for our anniversary, telling me it would be for our future travels. Now I was handing it to her. She stared at it like it was a bomb. "Pack," I said. "Both of you." The man straightened, finally dressed, his jaw tight with silent fear. "Look, man." I cut him off with a glance sharp enough to slice through bone. "Don't. Just leave. You don't get to say anything here." Annie's eyes were filling with tears, big ones, the kind she used to cry during sad movies on nights she felt insecure. But these were different. These were frantic, desperate, survival tears. "Please," she whispered. "I can explain." Explain. Explain why she wasn't answering my calls last night. Explain why she suddenly wanted me time every other evening. Explain why she hid her phone like it contained national secrets. Explain why her kisses had become colder, shorter, almost forced. Explain why I'd been sleeping next to a stranger for months. But I didn't say any of that. I didn't trust my voice. Instead, I walked out of the room. I needed space. Anything but the suffocating smell of betrayal clinging to the walls. Downstairs, the house felt weirdly peaceful, like it didn't know what disaster had just detonated in it. Our wedding photo still hung on the hallway wall, her smile bright, my arm around her waist, a future sparkling in the background. I looked at them and felt a physical pain under my ribs, a tight, squeezing ache. How long had she been slipping away from me? How long had he been here? How many times had I kissed her after she had kissed him? My stomach turned. I sank into the living room couch, elbows on my knees, trying to breathe, trying to think, trying to understand. But all I could see were the last few months, the moments I had ignored because love makes you blind. Or stupid. Or both. The late-night showers. The sudden gym memberships. The new laundry she bought on sale but wouldn't wear with me. The way she flinched when I walked into a room too quietly. The strange emotional distance, like she was physically here but her soul was drifting somewhere else. I thought it was stress. Work. Hormones. Life. I blamed everything except the possibility that she might betray me, maybe because I didn't want to believe she could. Upstairs, I heard hurried movements, the sound of drawers opening and closing, whispered arguments, a stumbling thud, more whispers. Her voice was pleading, frantic. His was low, embarrassed, annoyed. Good. Let them feel something. Minutes later, the two of them came downstairs. She was pulling her suitcase with one hand and wiping her face with the other. He looked at the floor like he wanted it to swallow him whole. I didn't look at him, but I looked at her. Once, she was my safe place, my comfort, my future. Now she felt like a stranger trespassing in my home. She stepped toward me, voice trembling. Can we just talk? Not now. Later. Anywhere. Just, please, don't do this. Don't throw everything away over. Over what? My voice finally cracked through the numbness. Over you cheating on me in our bed. Her lips parted, but no excuse came out. For once, she had nothing. The man cleared his throat. I'll wait outside. He left quickly, the front door clicking shut behind him. And he stayed. Her tears were falling freely now, her chest shaking. I messed up. I know I did. I made a mistake, okay? A horrible mistake. But I love you. I swear I stood up. Her words died. Go, I said quietly. She flinched, like the word physically hit her. I'm not leaving forever, right, she whispered. You're just angry. You're upset. You don't mean. Go, I repeated. Her breath caught, a tiny, broken sound. Then she pulled the suitcase, step by step, toward the door. Every click of its wheels across the floor felt like something tearing inside me. At the doorway, she turned one last time. Her eyes were red, terrified, begging. I'm sorry, she whispered. The door closed, and the house fell silent, except for my heartbeat, loud, unsteady, alone. The silence after she left didn't feel like peace. It felt like smoke, thick, suffocating, lingering in every corner of the house. Every room held a memory I suddenly didn't trust. The kitchen where she used to make pancakes on Sundays. The couch where she'd fall asleep with her head on my lap. The hallway where she hugged me from behind after work, whispering that she missed me. Now all those moments felt contaminated, tainted, like someone had dipped them in poison. I stayed standing in the living room for a long time, unmoving, staring at the closed front door as if it might open again, as if she might walk back in, drop to her knees, confess everything with the truth she'd always promised me she had. But she didn't come back, and maybe that was the first real confirmation. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a moment of weakness. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, a series of choices she made while looking me in the face every day. My legs finally gave out, and I sank onto the couch. My hands were shaking. My throat felt tight. I ran my fingers through my hair and let out a shaky breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for minutes. What now? The question echoed in my skull. A divorce? A break? A separation? A long talk? A fight? A scream? I couldn't think clearly. Every thought was tangled with another, every emotion clashing violently inside me. Rage, heartbreak, disbelief, humiliation, fear, confusion, none of them taking control long enough for me to do anything. So I just sat there, staring at the wall. My mind drifted back, against my will, to the early days of us, to the way she laughed when I told bad jokes, the way she used to touch my arm when she talked, even if she didn't need to, the way she looked at me during our wedding vows, like I was the only person she saw in the world. Was that look a lie? Or did she mean it then, and just stop meaning it later? Which was worse? The house felt too quiet, too empty, too wrong. I pushed myself off the couch and wandered into the kitchen, grabbing a glass of water just to keep my hands occupied. But even the water felt heavy going down my throat, like it didn't want to be there. My phone buzzed. I froze, staring at the screen. It was her. A single message. Please talk to me. Please. I didn't reply. Another message came seconds later. I didn't mean for this to happen. Please don't shut me out. Shut her out? What did she think she did to me? I placed the phone face down on the counter, unable to look at it anymore. Her words, her desperate, begging words, should have satisfied some wounded part of me, should have made me feel in control. But they didn't. They only twisted the knife deeper. Because if she was really sorry, then why did she do it? Why do people shatter the very thing they cry to protect afterward? I walked upstairs slowly, each step heavier than the last. Our bedroom door was half open, and for a moment I just stared at it, afraid, like the room had become haunted in the last hour. And in a way, it had. I pushed the door open, and the breath left my lungs. The sheets were still messy, the pillows askew, her perfume lingering in the air, his belt indentation still visible on the blanket. My stomach turned again, a deep, twisting nausea. I couldn't stay there, so I grabbed the bedding, ripped it off the bed, and shoved everything into a trash bag. Not because I had a plan, just because I needed something from that moment to disappear. But the room didn't feel any cleaner. I sat on the edge of the bare mattress, elbows on my knees, staring at my feet while memories flooded in like a cruel montage. Every time she smiled at her phone, every late-night text she claimed was from her coworker, every time she said, "Don't worry about it," every sudden distance, every new lie disguised as reassurance. I hadn't wanted to suspect her. I loved her too much to think she could hurt me like this. But love doesn't prevent betrayal. It only makes the fall harder. My phone buzzed again downstairs. Then again, and again. The notifications echoed through the empty house like knocks on my own skull. I didn't move. I didn't want to hear her excuses. I didn't want to hear her voice trembling with guilt that came too late. I didn't want her to try to fix something she had destroyed with her own hands. Eventually, my phone went silent, and for a brief moment, the silence felt like relief, like a bandage pressed against a wound. But the relief didn't last long, because only a few minutes later, the doorbell rang. Hard, insistent. I knew it was her. My pulse jumped. My hands clenched. I stayed upstairs for a moment, heart pounding, hoping she would leave. The doorbell rang again. Then she knocked. Then she called through the door, her voice cracking, desperate, the way someone sounds when they know they're losing something they can't replace. "Please, open the door. Please just talk to me. I'm begging you." My chest tightened painfully. This wasn't how she was supposed to be. She wasn't supposed to cry like this. She wasn't supposed to be on the other side of the door like a stranger. But she had made herself into one. I closed my eyes, breathing slowly, trying to gather the broken pieces inside me long enough to make one clear decision. I walked downstairs. My footsteps made a soft echo in the hallway as I approached the door. I could see her shadow through the frosted glass, small, trembling, hugging herself like the cold air was punishing her. I unlocked the door. Her head snapped up instantly. Her eyes were red, her cheeks streaked with tears, her breath coming out shaky and uneven. She looked terrified, not because she feared me, but because she feared what she'd done to herself, what she'd done to us. Her suitcase sat beside her. She must have left it on the porch earlier. When she saw me, she reached out, but I stepped back instinctively. It hit her like a slap. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely holding itself together. "Just talk to me. Yell at me. Hate me. Do anything. But don't shut me out like this." I swallowed hard, my throat burning. "Why?" I asked. Just one word, but it felt like it carried a lifetime's weight. She broke. Completely. Tears streamed down her face as she shook her head helplessly. "I don't know. I don't know. I was stupid. I was angry at you. I felt lonely. I thought you didn't love me anymore. I don't know what I thought. I messed up. I messed everything up." I stared at her, my heart beat loud in the cold air between us. And for the first time that night, I didn't feel anger. I felt something worse. The beginning of truth. The beginning of answers I wasn't sure I wanted. Her confession didn't land all at once. It came in pieces, broken, trembling pieces that scattered between us on the porch like glass shards. I stood there, trying not to breathe too heavily, trying not to let her see how each word cut deeper than the last. "I felt lonely," she repeated, wiping her face with the back of her shaking hand. "I felt like you weren't really here anymore. even when you were home. I stared at her, confused, angry, hurt. I was here every night. You were physically here, she said, voice trembling. But you were tired, distant. You'd come home exhausted. You barely talked. I'd ask about your day, and you'd just nod, or shrug, or say it was fine. And I thought, she swallowed painfully, I thought I didn't matter to you anymore. Her words hit me with a strange, bitter mix of injustice and guilt. I had been tired. Work had drained me. Life had weighed heavy. But I never thought she would interpret my exhaustion as indifference. You should have talked to me, I said quietly, hands shaking at my sides. Not, I pointed vaguely down the street where the guy had walked off earlier. Not that. She flinched as if I'd slapped her. I know, she whispered. I know, and I'm not trying to justify it. I'm not. I need you to understand why I was so weak. Why I made such a horrible decision. I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time since catching her in the bedroom. And what I saw wasn't the confident, stubborn woman I married. She looked small, broken, terrified, like she was fighting for her life. Who is he? I forced out. She closed her eyes, shame spilling across her face. Someone from the gym. My stomach twisted. So this wasn't just today. No. Her eyes shot open. Today was the first time anything physical happened. I swear it. I swear on everything. Why was he in our bedroom, Annie? My voice cracked. Why wasn't he leaving when I walked in? Why was your blouse unbuttoned? Why were... I know, she whispered, tears running again. I know what it looked like. What it looked like? I echoed bitterly. I walked in on you and him. Her voice cracked, breaking into a painful sob. We were going to talk. He came over because I told him I needed to end everything. That whatever we were doing, emotionally, had to stop. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was leading somewhere awful. I told him I couldn't keep going down that path. I shook my head, aching everywhere. So you told him to come to our house. It was stupid, she whispered. I panicked. I didn't want to meet him outside. I didn't want anyone to see us. I don't know. I wasn't thinking straight. I stared at her, disbelief buzzing under my skin. You invited him here. To our home. Yes. To our bedroom. Yes. She covered her face for a moment, sobbing quietly. I regret it. I regret everything. I wish I could erase it. I wish you didn't walk in. I wish. Don't wish that, I said sharply. She froze. I stepped closer, not to comfort, but to make the truth unavoidable. If I didn't walk in today, I said quietly, how far would it have gone next week? Next month? Tomorrow? Her mouth opened, but no sound came, because she knew the answer. And so did I. Her silence felt like a confession louder than anything she said so far. The cold night air wrapped around us, and I felt suddenly exhausted. My heart hurt. My head hurt. Everything inside me was rattling. I can't do this right now, I said finally, stepping back toward the door. Her breath hitched. Please, don't shut me out. Don't close the door on me. I'm begging you. You need to go home, I said. This is my home, she cried. Not tonight. Her whole body trembled. Where will I go? I shrugged, though it felt cruel. A friend's place. A hotel. Anywhere that isn't here. She shook her head, panic rising. But this means you're done with me. If I walk away tonight, I'll lose you. I'll lose everything. And I can't handle that. I swallowed hard, because part of me wanted to break, to take her inside, to hold her while she cried, to pretend none of this happened and that we were still the people in our wedding photos downstairs. But another part of me, the part that saw her and another man in our bedroom, knew that nothing would ever be the same. I'm not making any decisions right now, I said quietly, but I need space. She pressed her hand to the doorframe as if she needed it to keep standing. Please don't punish me by pushing me away. It's not punishment. It's survival. She broke into another sob, so raw and desperate I had to look away. Because if I kept watching her cry like that, I might cave. I might give her the comfort she didn't deserve. I might let her stay. I might weaken. But she wasn't the only one hurting tonight. I took a deep breath and stepped back into the house. "Annie," I said softly. She looked up, eyes shattering. "Go." Her lips trembled. Her voice barely left her throat. "I love you." I closed my eye for half a second because the words were a knife. Then I whispered the truth I didn't want to say but had to. "I don't know what that means to you anymore." I closed the door. Her sob on the other side cut through me like a blade. I leaned my forehead against the wood, breathing shakily, my heart slamming against my ribs. For a long moment, she didn't move. I could hear her crying softly, whispering things I couldn't make out. Maybe apologies, maybe prayers, maybe regrets. Then finally, the sound of her suitcase wheels scraped across the porch. Slow, defeated, final. I waited until I heard her car start, until she drove away. The house fell silent again. But this silence was different. This one had grief in it. This one had realization. This one carried the weight of a marriage broken on a single night, but cracked long before that. I walked back upstairs, every step heavy, the house echoing in a way it never had before. In the bedroom, the stripped mattress looked like a battlefield. I sat on the edge and let my head fall into my hands. For the first time that night, I let myself cry. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears of someone who lost something they didn't even realize was already slipping away. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. I just sat there in the dim light of the bedside lamp, our bedside lamp, staring at the wall like it held answers. The room felt colder without her. Not physically, but in the way a place feels different when the person who normally breathes in it isn't there. Around 3 a.m., I finally moved, walking into the bathroom. I splashed cold water on my face. My reflection in the mirror looked like someone I didn't recognize, eyes swollen, jaw tight, expression hollow. I looked like someone who had aged a year in a single night. I walked back into the bedroom slowly. The bare mattress stared up at me like a reminder I couldn't escape. The memory of what I saw earlier kept replaying on a loop, over and over, until my chest tightened painfully. I felt stupid, blind, naive. How had I not seen the signs clearly? Why did I ignore the late-night texting she always brushed off with, "It's just Mia"? Why didn't I question the sudden gym obsession? The new friend group? The days she claimed she needed time alone to reset? I trusted her. I trusted us. Maybe that was my biggest mistake. By morning, I felt numb. Not calmer, just emptied, like I bled out emotionally and didn't have anything left to feel. The sun filtered weakly through the curtains, casting a soft glow across the room. It should have been peaceful. It should have been the kind of morning where she'd be sleeping on her side, hair messy, breathing softly, stealing the blanket from my side. Instead, there was nothing but the sound of the clock ticking. Tick, tick, tick. I forced myself out of the room. The kitchen was still exactly as it was, her glass of water half-finished from last evening before everything blew up. I pushed it to the back of the counter like it offended me. My phone buzzed again. I didn't look right away. But when it didn't stop, I grabbed it from the counter reluctantly. 10 missed messages. 7 voicemails. 3 texts from unknown number. The unknown number had to be him. I felt a flicker of something sharp inside me but didn't open any of them. I did see one message from her, though, sent at 6:13 a.m. "I'm staying with Mia. Please don't block me. Please." Another message at 7:02 a.m. "I'll give you space. Just tell me you're safe. I'm worried." A part of me hated how her concern still hit something inside me. A part of me hated myself for noticing it. I put the phone down and walked away. I couldn't deal with her yet. Not after last night. Not with my mind in this state. I needed distraction. Work. Something predictable, emotionless, structured. Something that didn't require untangling betrayal. But when I tried to sit at my desk, my mind wouldn't focus. Emails blurred. Words blended together. Every sentence reminded me of something she once said or did. Even my coffee tasted different without her pouring haze beside me. Around 10 a.m., someone knocked on the door. My chest tightened instantly. For a moment, I didn't move. I just stared at the door like it might explode open. But the knocking came again, firm this time, not desperate like Hayes last night. I walked slowly, cautiously, and when I looked through the peephole, a familiar face met me. Jordan, my best friend. He looked concerned, jaw tense, hand raised, and knock again. I opened the door. He took one look at me, and his face changed, eyes softening, shoulders dropping slightly. Jesus, he whispered, you look like hell. Thanks, I said flatly. He exhaled and stepped inside without waiting for permission. He'd always been the kind of friend who didn't need an invitation. You didn't answer my calls this morning, he said, kicking the door shut behind him. And he called Mia. Mia called my wife. My wife woke me up in full panic mode. I rubbed my forehead. Great! What happened? I sat on the couch, shoulders heavy. I caught her. With someone. He stared for 3 full seconds. No sound. No reaction. Just stunned silence. Then, in your house. In our bedroom. Is the guy still alive? He walked out on his own. Unfortunate. Despite everything, a humorless snort escaped me. Jordan sat beside me, elbows on his knees. Tell me everything. I didn't realize how much I needed to talk until the words started spilling out. Little by little at first, then like a dam breaking. I told him about the gasp I heard, the door, them inside, her excuses, her begging, her leaving. Every detail tasted bitter coming out. By the time I finished, Jordan looked like he was ready to hunt the guy down himself. Are you okay? He asked quietly. I laughed, a broken, hollow laugh. Do I look okay? He didn't push. He just nodded slowly, a sign he understood. After a moment, he asked, What do you want to do? I don't know, I said honestly. Part of me wants to end everything. Pack her stuff, change the locks, file for divorce, pretend she never existed. And the other part, I looked at my hands. The other part of me was lost. I don't know, I whispered again. Jordan didn't judge me. He didn't tell me what he thought I should do. He didn't make it simple because he knew it wasn't simple. You're allowed to not know yet, he said. You're allowed to take time. Time. It felt like the only thing I had right now. My phone buzzed again. I ignored it. Jordan glanced toward the hallway. I can stay with you today, or you can come stay at my place. Whatever you need. I shook my head. I need to be alone. He understood. He always did. Before he left, he gripped my shoulder firmly. You didn't deserve this. You hear me? None of this is on you. For some reason, that sentence made my throat tighten painfully. After he left, the house felt even emptier, like the walls were swallowing the silence. I wandered aimlessly through the rooms, touching furniture, opening drawers, staring at things that used to feel ordinary. Her hoodie still hung on the back of a chair. Her slippers were under the bed. Her lip balm was on the coffee table. Every little thing felt like a ghost. Around noon, the doorbell rang again. My first thought was her. But when I opened the door, it wasn't her. It was him. The man I caught in my bedroom, standing on my doorstep, making the worst decision of his life. He stood on my doorstep like a man who didn't fully understand the danger of being there. Hands in his pockets, shoulders tense, eyes darting anywhere except at my face. A coward's posture, a guilty man's stance. The kind of presence that turns your stomach before a single word is spoken. For a moment, we just stared at each other. I didn't invite him in. I didn't speak. I didn't move. He shifted his weight, cleared his throat. Milo, can we talk? No, I said, and started to close the door. He pressed his hand against it, not in a forceful way, but enough to stop it from shutting. Please, just listen. Give me 1 minute. 1. My jaw tightened so hard it hurt. You know how people say they clench their teeth? No, this wasn't clenching. This felt like my skull was trying to keep my rage from pouring out. But I didn't blow up, didn't scream, didn't swing at him even though my body ached for it. Because if I did, he'd leave feeling like he had an excuse. I wouldn't give him one. 1 minute, I said. My voice was flat, cold, almost unrecognizable. He exhaled, relieved. Thank you. I didn't know if you'd even open the door. I shouldn't have. He nodded, accepting it. We stepped outside onto the porch. I refused to let him into my home, into my space, into the place he dirted with his presence long before today. For a few seconds, we just stood there. Wind chimes clinked lazily. A car passed by somewhere down the street. My neighbor's dog barked. Normal sounds. Ordinary life. But none of it felt normal. Finally, he spoke. I'm sorry. I almost laughed. Almost. For a betrayal like his, the word sorry is a paper umbrella in a hurricane. That's all. I asked. He swallowed. No. I just needed to see you. To tell you face to face. I saw enough of you the night you were hiding in my closet. His face contorted. Shame, regret, something close to disgust but clearly directed at himself. I deserve that, he said quietly. You deserve worse. He didn't deny it. He just stared at the ground. We were silent for a moment before he tried again. I never wanted to hurt you. You didn't just hurt me, I said. You gutted me. He winced like I'd slammed the door on his fingers. And I know saying this doesn't fix anything, but I swear to you it wasn't planned. It didn't start as. Spare me the origin story. I cut in. I don't care when it started. I care that it happened. He nodded. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. She told me you never talked to her. I blinked. Excuse me. She said you were distant lately, that she felt alone, that you were too busy, too tired, too distracted. My breath caught. He saw the shift immediately and raised both hands like he'd stepped on a mine. I'm not blaming you, he said quickly. I'm telling you what she told me. I'm telling you what she used, what she said to justify things. I thought you deserved to know. My chest tightened. A war began inside me. One part, furious. Another part, hurt. Another part, ashamed. Because if I was honest, things had been distant recently. Routines, work, exhaustion. I'd been guilty of neglect, too much autopilot, too much comfort. But even if I had made mistakes, I hadn't stepped into someone else's arms. I hadn't burned the marriage down. He took a slow breath, watching my reaction carefully. I'm not saying she's right, he added softly. I'm saying that's how she framed it. I stayed quiet. He continued. She told me you were cold, that she slept alone most nights even when you were home, that she didn't feel seen or wanted, that she felt invisible. A sharp heaviness settled into my chest. Invisible, unseen, unwanted, words that have power, words that can corrode someone slowly, words that can twist a lonely person into craving warmth wherever they find it. I hated that part of me understood. But understanding didn't excuse betrayal. Loneliness explains bad choices. It doesn't justify them. You know what the worst part is. I said, voice low. Even if some of that was true, she didn't talk to me about it. She didn't try. She gave up. And then she gave herself to you. He nodded slowly. You're right. For someone who felt unseen, I added bitterly, she sure found a lot of ways to be visible when she wanted to. He flinched again. Look, he said, voice shaking now. I'm not asking forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I came because I needed you to hear it from me. You didn't imagine anything. There were signs. She wasn't where she said she was. She lied to you. To both of us. A lot. That hit me in a new place. To both of us. He looked up. His eyes were raw. She told me she was leaving you. She told me you two were basically done. She said she just needed time. And I believed her. I was stupid. A horrible, sick realization hit me. I wasn't the only one she lied to. He wasn't her real choice. He wasn't her escape plan. He was just convenient. A stepping stone she'd never planned to keep. He read the understanding on my face. Yeah, he whispered. She used me. And I let her. I stayed silent. After a long breath, he said, I told her I was coming here today. She begged me not to. She didn't want you to know everything. She's not in a position to want anything, I said. He nodded. I'm done with her, he said suddenly. Completely. I want nothing to do with her. I just needed to tell you the truth. For a moment, I studied him. Really studied him. He looked hollow. He looked ashamed. He looked broken by his own choices. He looked like a man who thought he gained something and ended up losing everything. Just like her. You got your minute, I said quietly. Now leave. He nodded once. Goodbye, Milo. I didn't reply. He stepped off my porch, walked down the sidewalk, and didn't look back. Not once. When he disappeared around the corner, I closed the door slowly. The house felt even emptier than before, but the fog in my mind had cleared. Her story wasn't the whole truth. His story wasn't either. Somewhere in the middle was what really happened. And now, I finally had enough pieces to start seeing the cracks clearly. Tomorrow, I would make the next move. But tonight, for the first time since she left, I felt strangely steady. Broken, yes. Bleeding, yes. But steady. The kind of steady you feel before a storm finally breaks. That night was the first night I slept without waking up gasping. Not peacefully, not even close, but the kind of sleep where exhaustion dragged you under like deep water. When morning came, it didn't feel like a new day. It felt like yesterday had just paused. The house was quiet in an uneasy way again. Still no messages from her. Still no calls. Just silence. It was strange how quickly someone could vanish from the world they used to dominate every corner of. Her laughter had once filled these rooms. Her footsteps. Her humming. Her habit of talking to herself while cooking. Now it all felt like memories playing on mute. I walked to the kitchen, made coffee, sat at the table, and stared at the steam rising from the mug. I didn't drink it right away. I just watched it swirl, like smoke from a house that had burned down. And then I did something I'd been avoiding. I opened my phone, scrolled to her contact, and pressed call. My heartbeat thudded in my ears like a warning. Ring, ring, ring. Then her voicemail. Her voice, bright, untouched, recorded in a time when we still made inside jokes. Hey, it's Maya. Leave a message, unless you're a telemarketer, in which case, please stop. Seriously, stop. I didn't leave a message. I hung up. If she wasn't calling me, she didn't want to talk, or she was waiting for me to break first. I wouldn't. Instead, I showered, dressed, grabbed the evidence box, the one I had been adding to, and drove to my lawyer friend's office. His office was cold. Not physically, really, just emotionally. Minimalist, sharp lines, glass desk, dark shelves. A place built for conflict in numbers. A place where feelings weren't welcome. He closed the door behind me and pointed to the leather chair across from his desk. You look like shit, he said bluntly. I snorted. I feel worse. He nodded. I read your texts. I know why you're here. I set the box on the desk. He opened it, removed the papers slowly, methodically. Receipts, screenshots, notes, dates. His eyebrows twitched twice, his only sign of surprise. This is a lot, he said. It's everything, I replied. He leaned back, thoughtful, professional, detached. A surgeon presented with a wound he's seen 100 times, yet still respect the gravity of. Do you want to divorce her? He asked. I didn't answer right away. That surprised him. I thought it was obvious. It's not that simple, I said. He nodded once, understanding. Do you still love her? The question hit harder than expected. Did I? Love doesn't die overnight, but trust does. After a long pause, I said quietly, love isn't the problem. Respect is. He made a small noise of agreement. Then let me lay your options out. He explained calmly, clinically. Option A, divorce immediately. Full separation. Assets, house, court. No more contact besides legal necessities. Option B, separation period. Live apart, legally recognized. Time to decide. Time to think. Time to see if anything remained worth salvaging. Option C, try to repair the marriage. Counseling. Boundaries. Rules. A slow rebuilding. When he said option C, something in me recoiled. Not because reconciliation was impossible, but because it wasn't up to me anymore. She had burned the bridge. I was standing on ashes, and she hadn't even tried to rebuild. "Take your time," he said. "Don't choose today." But I already knew something. Whatever happened next, she needed to show up. She needed to speak. She needed to take responsibility. Silence was its own answer. He handed the evidence box back to me gently. "You're not alone in this. Milo, whatever you decide, I'll guide you through it." For the first time in days, I felt anchored. I thanked him and left. When I returned home, she still wasn't there. Her car wasn't in the driveway. Her key wasn't on the hook. The house felt like a hotel room after checkout. I set the box down, loosened my collar, walked into the bedroom, and stopped. Her sweater was gone from the chair. Her slippers, gone. Her lip balm from the coffee table, gone. Small things, quiet things, but deliberate things. She'd come while I was out. She'd come and taken pieces of herself. A slow, burning anger crept up my spine. Not explosive, not loud, just hot. If she came and left again without even trying to speak to me, that meant she'd made her choice. I sat on the edge of the bed and exhaled shakily. Every little absence felt like a message I didn't want to read. Around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. I hesitated before answering. "Hello." A shaky breath, a soft exhale. Then, "It's me." Her voice. My stomach dropped. "Maya," I said slowly, "where are you?" I'm not at home." "No kidding." She sniffed hard, like she'd been crying. "I tried to come earlier, but you weren't there." "You took your things." "Just a few. Not all." "Why?" A pause. "Because I didn't know if I'd be coming back." The words were a knife. I rubbed my forehead. "Are you calling to talk, or to leave another piece of yourself behind?" "That's not fair," she whispered. "Nothing about this is fair." Silence. Then, "Can we meet?" she asked quietly. "Please." My pulse spiked. "Meet where?" "At the park, the one near the lake. I'm already here." The lake, the place we had our first date. The place we sat on the grass sharing fries because we were too broke for a real dinner. The place she told me she wanted a life with me. "Why there?" I asked. "Because," she inhaled shakily, "because this is the only place I can say what I need to say." I didn't trust her. I didn't owe her anything. I didn't want to go. But closure isn't a luxury in betrayal. It's a necessity. "I'll be there," I said finally. I hung up before she could reply. The drive to the lake felt unreal. Streetlights blurred. The world felt muted. My hands gripped the wheel too tightly. When I arrived, the sun was low, late evening gold spilling across the water. Families were leaving. Teenagers laughing. Some guy jogging. Ordinary life continuing around a man whose world had collapsed. And then I saw her, sitting on a bench, red-eyed, hair pulled back messily, hands twisting in her lap, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. When she noticed me, she stood immediately. Her lips trembled. "Milo." I stopped a few steps away, close enough to hear her, far enough to keep a barrier. She looked at me like she was staring into the ruins of a home she burned herself. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for everything." Tears streaked her cheeks. But apologies are easy. Apologies are cheap. Apologies mean nothing without truth. "What exactly are you sorry for?" I asked. Her throat bobbed. "For what I did. For why I did it. And for the thing I need to tell you now." Something shifted. A tension. A dread. "What thing?" I asked. She wrapped her arms around herself as if bracing for impact. "Milo, there's something you don't know. Something I didn't tell you. Something I should have told you before everything blew up." My heart slammed once. Hard. "Maya," I said slowly, "what is it?" She took a trembling breath, and then she spoke words that cracked the ground beneath us. "Milo," her voice quivered, barely more than a breath. "The man you saw, the one in our bedroom, it was in the beginning." My blood chilled. "What does that mean?" I asked. She closed her eyes like she was about to step off a cliff. "It means I was lying to you long before that day. A cold, metallic feeling spread in my chest. The kind you get when a doctor says a word you never wanted to hear. How long? I whispered. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she wiped her face with shaking fingers, stared at the ground, and said softly, "Please sit. I don't want to tell you this while you're standing." "I'd rather stand," I said. She nodded like she expected that. Then she said it. 6 months. My knees weakened. The world didn't spin. It tilted. 6 months wasn't a mistake. 6 months wasn't a moment of weakness. 6 months wasn't a one-time betrayal. 6 months was a life. You were seeing him for 6 months. I asked, my voice low, dangerous. She clutched her elbows, hugging herself as if her own arms were the only thing keeping her together. "No," she said painfully, "not seeing him, not like dating him. It wasn't like that." "Then what was it?" I snapped. She flinched. "It started emotionally." "Emotionally? The worst kind." She continued, voice trembling. "I was lonely. Milo, you were working so much, and when you came home, you were tired, distant, always distracted. I told myself it didn't matter, but I kept feeling invisible." I felt a surge of anger twist in my stomach. "So you decided to make yourself visible to someone else," I said sharply. "That's not fair," she whispered. "It's not fair." I repeated, my voice rising. "You slept with someone else in our bed." Her face crumpled. I know, and I hate myself for it." "Do you?" I shot back. "Because when I caught you, you begged me to listen, but you didn't beg me to stay." Her lips parted, but no words came out. "Why him?" I asked. "Out of everyone in the world, why him?" She hesitated, looked down, played with her sleeve. All signs she was avoiding something. "Maya," I said slowly, "why him?" Finally, she whispered, "Because he listened." The words hit harder than her affair. Because they were simple. Because they were real. Because they were pathetic. I stepped back from her. "So you destroyed our marriage because you wanted attention." "No," she cried. "It wasn't like that. I didn't want to fall into it. I didn't plan it. It just happened." "It didn't just happen for 6 months." She squeezed her eyes shut, tears slipping down. "We started talking at work," she said. "Small things, stupid things, lunch breaks, inside jokes. I should have stopped it. I know that. And then it became messages, personal messages. I told myself they were harmless. I told myself I could talk to him about things I didn't want to burden you with." "Like what?" I demanded. She swallowed hard, like the fact that I felt like we weren't partners anymore, that we were roommates, that I missed the way we used to be, that I missed you. The irony was bitter enough to choke on. "You miss me so much you cheated," I said coldly. "That's not why," she cried. "I didn't cheat because I didn't love you. I cheated because I didn't know how to reach you anymore." I stared at her, stunned by the twisted logic. "So instead of trying harder..." My voice shook. "You gave up?" She nodded brokenly. "Yes, I gave up. That's the truth." I felt something inside me tear, not like a cut, but like a fabric ripping straight down the middle. "And the night I caught you..." She hesitated. That was the first time we crossed the line physically. I shook my head. "I don't believe you." "It's true," she insisted, voice desperate. "I swear on my life. That was the first time. We never did anything before that." "Why that night?" I asked quietly. She looked away. "Maya." Her voice cracked. "Because that night, I was planning to tell him I couldn't keep doing this. I wanted to end it. I wanted to fix us. And he made a move. I should have stopped him. I know I should have, but I didn't." "So you kiss him back?" "Yes," she whispered. "I did. And then I walked in." "Yes." The lake breeze was cold, but the cold inside my chest was worse. So everything I saw, everything at that moment, was because he made a move and you didn't stop him. Her voice broke. Yes. Then why was he in our bedroom? She hesitated. Too long. Too long. Maya. Finally, she whispered, he followed me upstairs. I didn't invite him, but I didn't tell him to leave, either. And when I froze, that's when you came home. Her explanation made sense, but sense didn't fix anything. I exhaled slowly, painfully, so you weren't going to tell me. If I hadn't walked in, you would have kept this secret. No, she said quickly. That night, I was going to tell you. I swear I was. I didn't know how. You did know how, I said. You just didn't want to. She sobbed into her hands. I'm sorry, Milo. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to lose you. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did. My voice was low, quiet, exhausted. You hurt me more than anyone ever has. She cried harder. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The lake shimmered with the last traces of daylight. The breeze rustled the leaves. A couple walked past us holding hands. It felt like the universe was mocking us. Finally, she spoke again, her voice trembling. There's more. My head snapped up. More what? She wiped her face with the back of her hand. There's something else I need to tell you. Something I've been hiding, something I'm terrified to say. Maya. My voice hardened. What else can you possibly add? She clasped her hand together like she was holding onto the last edge of a cliff. Then she looked at me with eyes full of fear. Milo, I think I'm pregnant. The world went silent. My body froze. My breath stopped. My heart slammed onto my chest like a hammer hitting steel. No, no, no. You're what? Her lips trembled. I think I'm pregnant. And I don't know. Her voice cracked into a sob. I don't know who the father is. The sky did not fall. It plummeted. For a moment, I couldn't hear anything. Not the wind, not the rustling leaves, not the distant sound of a boat on the lake. Just silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Then my mind snapped back, and everything rushed in at once. Her words, her tears, her shaking hands. Pregnant, pregnant. She might be pregnant. With his child. My throat went dry. It felt like trying to swallow broken glass. You're telling me, I said slowly, that you might be carrying another man's baby. She covered her mouth, nodding desperately as tears streamed down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I didn't want this. I swear I didn't. I don't even know if I actually am yet. I'm late, and I'm scared, and I didn't know how to tell you. My legs felt unsteady. I stepped back from her. She reached out a hand. Milo. Don't, I said sharply. Don't touch me. Not right now. Her hand dropped instantly, like she'd touched fire. I turned away, pressing both hands against my forehead as the reality sank in deeper and deeper. Anger, fear, disgust, heartbreak, all tangled together so tightly that I couldn't separate them. Were you trying to get pregnant? I asked bitterly. No, she cried. God, no. I wasn't even thinking about that. I wasn't thinking at all. Everything got out of control. Because you let it, I snapped. She inhaled sharply like the words stabbed her. I know, she said, voice breaking. I know, and I regret it more than anything in my life. So what now? I asked. You want me to raise a child that might not be mine? No, she said quickly. I'm not asking that. I'm not asking anything. I needed to be honest with you before things get worse. Worse? I laugh a humorless, broken laugh. Please explain to me how this gets worse. She looked at me with wide, terrified eyes. What if it is his? She whispered. What if it's not yours? The words twisted my stomach into knots. I turned back toward the lake, staring out at the dark, rippling water. The sun had fully set now, leaving only a faint blue glow on the horizon. Lights across the lake reflected in long, trembling columns. I tried to breathe, but every breath felt tight and shallow. Behind me, her voice cracked. I still love you, Milo. My hands curled into fists. Don't, I said without turning around. It's the truth, she insisted. I still love you. I never stopped. You don't get to say that, I said quietly. You don't get to cheat on me, lie to me, betray me, and then use the word love like a bandage. She stood in silence for a long moment. Then, you're right. When I finally turned to look at her, she seemed small, fragile, completely undone. Milo, she whispered, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect a second chance. But I need you to know. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of losing you. Terrified of being alone. Terrified of what I've done. I stared at her, trying to understand how the person I had trusted with my entire heart could be standing in front of me as a stranger. How long have you suspected? I asked. 2 days, she said. I didn't take a test yet. I couldn't. I didn't want to know by myself. So you came to ruin my life in person, I said darkly. She winced. I came to tell you the truth. Finally. Completely. The wind picked up, blowing her hair across her face. She pushed it back, eyes never leaving mine. Say something, she whispered. Anything. But I didn't know what to say. My chest felt tight. My throat felt raw. My heart felt like someone had taken it in both hands and twisted it. When I finally spoke, my voice was hoarse. I need time. She nodded immediately. I understand. And space, I said. A lot of space. She nodded again. And until you take that test, don't contact me. The words told something inside her. Her shoulders shook, her breath hitched, and tears fell harder. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I won't. She wiped her face with her sleeve, then hesitated. Milo, can I ask you something? What? If the baby is yours. Her voice quivered. Would you want to be involved? My breath caught. That question shouldn't even exist, I said sharply. But you made it exist. I know, she said softly. But I need to know, even a small answer. I stared at her, searching for words in a storm that had no direction. If the baby is mine, I said slowly, I would step up. I wouldn't abandon a child. She cried harder, this time quietly. And if it's his, she whispered. If it's his? I swallowed hard. Then you are no longer part of my life. Her knees nearly buckled at the words. I didn't soften them. You should go, I said. She hesitated, wiping her face again and again as if she could erase what she'd done. Milo, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't answer. I'll take the test tomorrow morning, she said shakily. I'll text you the result, or I won't, if you prefer. Text me, I said. Then don't contact me again until I decide what happens next. She nodded weakly. Then she turned around and walked away, her step slow, uneven, broken. She looked back once. I didn't. I watched her figure grow smaller and smaller, swallowed by the darkness of path. When she finally disappeared from view, I collapsed onto the bench and buried my face in my hands. For the first time since this nightmare started, I actually cried. Not angry tears, not shocked tears, not betrayed tears, but grief, because this wasn't just a betrayal. It was death, the death of a marriage, the death of trust, the death of the life we were supposed to have. And somewhere inside the darkness, a tiny, horrifying thought formed. What if the baby is mine? And another, colder thought. What if it isn't? Both possibilities terrified me. Both possibilities could break me. Both possibilities could destroy everything. I didn't know which truth I feared more. All I knew was that tomorrow, my life might change forever. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, replaying everything she said, everything she did, everything I saw. My mind kept drifting between two nightmares, each one worse than the other. If the baby was mine, if the baby wasn't. Either way, something inside me was about to break for good. Around 3 a.m., I got up and walked around the apartment like a stranger exploring someone else's home. Every room felt hollow. Every object felt like a leftover from a life that wasn't mine anymore. The kitchen cabinet she always left half open. The plant she kept forgetting to water. The mug she said looked ugly but kept using anyway. All stupid, meaningless things. And somehow they hurt the most. By dawn, I was exhausted, but still awake. The sky outside shifted from dark blue to pale gray, the kind of color that makes the whole world feel tired. My phone vibrated around 7:11 a.m. My chest tightened instantly. It wasn't a message, just a weather alert. But that one vibration was enough to send my heartbeat racing. I stared at the screen for a long minute before putting the phone face down on the table. I didn't want the truth to come. Not yet. Not now. Not ever. But eventually it would. 8:04 a.m. Another vibration. I froze. This time, the screen showed her name. Just her name. No preview. No words. Nothing. A simple notification that felt like a death sentence. I let it sit there for a full minute before opening it. Her message was short. I took the test. Then another. I'm waiting for the result. My hands trembled slightly as I typed. Okay. I didn't know what else to say. She didn't respond. For the next few minutes, I just sat there staring at the wall, my stomach twisting into tighter and tighter knots. Then another message came. The one that made my heartbeat thud in my throat. It's positive. I exhaled sharply, almost a gasp. Positive. Positive. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know how to breathe. I didn't reply immediately. I couldn't. A minute later, another message came. You deserve to know everything. Will you meet me? My first instinct was to say no, to protect myself, to push her out, to create distance. But a tiny voice whispered back, what if it's yours? And just like that, I typed, where? She replied instantly, the small cafe near the bus station. I'm in the back. I stared at the message. The same cafe where we had our first date. The same place where she once told me she couldn't imagine a life without me. The same place where she touched my hand for the first time. Now we were meeting there for the ugliest conversation of our lives. I grabbed my jacket and left. The air outside was cold, colder than usual. A wind cut across my face, snapping me awake in a way no coffee ever could. The walk to the cafe felt longer than it should have. Every step felt heavy. Every corner felt like it was leading to something I didn't want to face. When I reached the cafe, I paused outside the door. I could see her inside through the window, sitting alone, hands wrapped around a cup she wasn't drinking, eyes fixed on the table, face pale, shoulders shaking slightly. She looked broken. Part of me hated that. Part of me felt it was deserved. Part of me still wanted to reach through the glass and hold her. That was the worst part. I walked in. The bell above the door chimed softly. She looked up immediately, eyes red, makeup smudged, hair messy like she'd been running her hands through it again and again. Milo, she whispered. I sat down across from her without a word. She pushed a folded piece of paper toward me. A pregnancy test. A printed result. Positive. Seeing it on a screen was one thing. Seeing it on paper made it real in a way that made my stomach twist. I'm sorry, she said softly. I know you told me not to contact you until the result, but you deserve to know everything. And there's more than just a test. I didn't speak. I didn't trust my voice. She took a slow breath, steadying herself. I know whose it might be. The cafe seemed to shrink around us. Go on, I said quietly. She looked up at me with eyes full of fear. He and I, we crossed the line only once. That night, the same night you came home. My jaw tightened. I told you that, she whispered, and I wasn't lying. It never happened before that. Not physically. My voice came out low. So the timing? She nodded. It's almost impossible for it to be his, she said. Not fully impossible, but close. I stared at her, trying to see any hint of deceit. There was none. And you're sure? I asked. No, she whispered. I'm not sure about anything right now. But I know my cycle. I know the dates. I know when you and I last. Her voice broke. When we were last together. Memories I didn't want flashed in my mind. Her laughing under me. Her kissing my neck. Her telling me she loved me. A life that felt far away now. I think it's yours, Milo, she said softly. I really do. Her voice cracked again, and tears filled her eyes. But I know what I think doesn't matter right now. I know my words don't mean anything after everything I've done. She looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers nervously. Whatever you decide, she said quietly, I'll accept it. I leaned back in the chair, staring at her. She wasn't defending herself. She wasn't making excuses. She wasn't trying to fix it. She was just done. And yet, there was something honest in her that I hadn't seen in months. Finally, I asked, what about him? Does he know? Her face tightened. No. Are you going to tell him? No, she said firmly. Not unless it turns out to be his. And if it is, I'll deal with the consequences. Not you. Her voice was trembling, but her words were steady. She finally looked up at me, eyes full of something I couldn't name. Milo, I don't want to lose you, but I already did. And that's my fault. All I want now is to do the right thing, whatever that looks like. The cafe was quiet around us. The world felt still. My pulse felt loud in my ears. Then I said something I didn't expect. I want a paternity test. She nodded immediately. Of course, whenever you want. And until then, I swallowed. We stay separate. Her lips trembled, but she nodded again. I understand. I stood up to leave. She didn't stop me. She didn't beg. She didn't chase. But as I reached the door, her voice broke the silence. Milo, if the baby is yours, I want you to know something. I turned slightly, not fully, not ready to face her. What? Her voice shook. I will spend the rest of my life proving that I can be better than what I became. I didn't answer. I walked out. The bell chimed. The door closed behind me, and I exhaled into the cold morning air, not knowing if I was walking toward the truth, or toward the final end of everything. The next few days passed like I was living underwater. Every movement felt slow. Every thought felt heavy. Every hour felt like a reminder that the truth was coming whether I was ready or not. I tried working. I tried distracting myself. I tried pretending I still had a normal life. Nothing worked. Every time my phone buzzed, my chest tightened. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her sitting in that cafe, clutching the pregnancy test like confession. I think it's yours. Milo. The words haunted me, not because of hope, but because of fear. If it was mine, I'd be bound to her forever, attached by something innocent, something pure, something that didn't ask to be born inside a disaster. If it wasn't mine, the last piece of us would die. There was no version of the future that didn't hurt. 3 days later, we went to the clinic for the initial consultation. Not together. I told her we'd meet there separately. She said okay. When I arrived, she was already inside, sitting in a chair near the window, staring at her hands. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She didn't say my name. Just a small nod, the kind people give at funerals. The nurse called us in. We answered questions, signed papers, gave dates, explained why we needed a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. The nurse tried not to react, but even she paused for a moment, her eyes softening with quiet sympathy. I hated the feeling. I hated needing sympathy. But I hated the uncertainty more. After the appointment, I tried to leave without saying anything, but she stopped me outside. Milo, can you give me 5 minutes? I didn't want to, but I nodded. We stood near the parking lot where the wind carried the smell of exhaust and early spring chill. She looked exhausted, pallid-eyed, hollow-cheeked, a version of her I'd never seen. I want to tell you something before the result comes, she said softly. I'm listening. She took a breath so shaky it almost broke her voice. I'm not asking for another chance. I know you can't give me one, but I need you to know the truth about that night. I know the truth, I said. No, she whispered. You know the facts. You don't know the truth. I clenched my jaw. Then tell me. She looked up at me with eyes full of pain. That night, the reason I went upstairs was to delete the messages. That stunned me. She continued quickly, afraid I'd walk away. I'd been thinking about ending it for weeks. I hated what I was doing. I hated who I was becoming. And that night, I told myself I had to stop. I had to choose. I had to fix things with you. She wiped her eyes. I was going to delete everything. The texts, the calls, the photos, everything that proved how stupid I had been. Why didn't you? I asked. I did, she whispered. That's why I went upstairs. But he followed me. I told him we had to stop, and he got angry. I froze. And then you came home. Her voice cracked. And when you walked in, the look on your face. I will never forget it. Never. I swallowed hard. This doesn't undo anything, I said. I know, she said. I'm not trying to undo it. I just needed you to know I wasn't replacing you. I wasn't in love with him. I wasn't trying to build a life with him. She looked down. I was just broken and stupid and desperate for something I should have asked you for. I closed my eyes for a moment because part of me knew she wasn't lying, and part of me hated that. When I opened them again, she was staring at me like I was the answer to a question she didn't know how to ask. Whatever happens, she whispered, you deserve better than what I gave you. I nodded once. Then I walked away. The test results would take a week. 7 days. 7 nights. 7 chances for my mind to tear itself apart. Every morning, I woke up with my stomach twisted. Every night, I lay awake imagining both possibilities. I checked my phone more times than I'll ever admit. On the 7th day, I was sitting on the balcony, staring at the dark sky, when my phone finally buzzed with a message from the clinic portal. One message. One notification. Your paternity test results are ready. My heart slammed so hard it echoed in my ears. I opened the link. The page loaded slowly, too slowly. My hands were shaking. Finally, the result appeared. Clear, unmistakable, undeniable. Probability of paternity, 99.998%. My vision blurred. My breath caught. My pulse raced. It was mine. The baby was mine. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. But it didn't matter. A life had grown from the ashes of a betrayal. A life that hadn't asked for any of this. I stared at the result for a long time, silent and still. Then, finally, I texted her. It's mine. The 3 dots appeared immediately. She must have been waiting with her phone in her hands. Her reply popped up. I know this doesn't fix anything, but thank you for telling me. Then another message. Can we talk? Not about us. About the future. About the baby. I didn't reply right away. I looked out at the city lights, scattered, broken, beautiful. A skyline built from thousands of mistakes, thousands of rebuilds, thousands of second attempts. I thought about the life growing inside her, my child, my responsibility, my connection to her, whether I wanted it or not. Finally, I typed back, yes, we can talk. Her response came, thank you. I didn't know what talking meant, didn't know what co-parenting would look like, didn't know if healing was possible, or if healing even meant getting back together. But I did know one thing. I wasn't going to abandon my child. The relationship between us was shattered, broken, damaged beyond recognition. But the child wasn't. And maybe, just maybe, something new could rise from the wreckage. Not a relationship, not a reunion, not forgiveness, but a different kind of beginning. The next day, we met at the same lake where she first told me the truth. This time, she wasn't crying. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't begging. She stood there quietly, hands on her stomach, face washed with something I hadn't seen in a long time. Calm. Not happiness, not peace, but acceptance. I walked up to her. We didn't hug. We didn't smile. We didn't pretend. But we talked. Honest, clear, real. About the baby. About boundaries. About responsibility. About healing separately. About doing the right thing, even if it hurt. And maybe that was the real ending. Not explosive. Not romantic. Not dramatic. Just 2 broken people trying to build something better for someone who hadn't even been born yet. As we finished talking and she turned to leave, she paused. Milo, I know I lost you. I accept that. But I hope one day you see that the best thing we ever created wasn't our marriage. She rested her hand gently on her stomach. It's this. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anger, or fear, or confusion. Just something softer, something almost like hope. Not for us, but for what would come after us. As she walked away, a small wind blew across the lake and brushed against my face. Cold, sharp, clean. A reminder. Pain had brought me here. Betrayal had changed everything. But endings weren't always destruction. Sometimes they were direction. And this time, the direction was clear. I couldn't fix the past. I couldn't erase the betrayal. I couldn't rebuild what had shattered. But I could choose to be more than the hurt, more than the anger, more than the man she betrayed. I could be a father. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to start again. Not with her, but with myself.